Hi, this is Rich B in AZ, and it's now July 2026. I've been changing tyres for quite a while now using a steel ball and a little balancing wheel like this, which has worked great until now. But this is the 1980 Corvette that my son-in-law has, and I knew just looking at these deeply dished wheels, yeah, that's going to be a problem. So that challenged me into coming up with a good method to do a vertical car tire balance. I tried it before with a hub and pulled out the grease seal, but it really didn't work that well. There was still a lot of resistance in it, so I'm trying to come up with a vertical method to be able to balance a tire. This method is horizontal balancing, and we're going to try and keep the wheel in a vertical line, like I do on my motorbike wheels. This is a little cue for me, and I'm going to run you this video right now so you can see what I'm up against. Okay, so this is the wheel, and this is my normal balancing stool right here. So we're going to drop the wheel onto that ball, and we're going to see if it's stable. And the answer is, no, it isn't. As you can see, it's trying to fall, and it will not balance. And I'm going to show you the reason for it right now. Okay, these are things I've shown before on my page. You may not have looked at them. It's boring stuff, but I found out that the CG of the wheel, this is the hub part of the wheel, has to be below the center point of the ball for the wheel to be stable on the balancing base. Now, how do I know that? When I tip it over, I can look at the forces and where they act. And yes, this one is a self-stabilizing. Now this one, the CG of the wheel is above the center point of the ball. And when you tip that one over, the weight is outside the contact point of the ball. So it's unstable and it will keep falling. There's no stopping it. It will just keep going. So I knew that wasn't going to work in advance. So I've got to come up with a different way to fix the problem. It's showing what I ended up with. Here's the ball, which doesn't work. And then we're going over here to the plastic piece, which seemed to work. Okay, so this is what I came up with, was this plastic assembly. We're putting the tire on it right there, and it's stable. We can let go of it. The only problem I had with this was the pivot point was now too high, and it wasn't really sensitive enough. But yeah, it is stable, it's pretty low friction. It should work, but I don't think the bearing could handle the stresses. So this is the actual part. It all comes apart fairly easily. It's just a cone to support it. There's a bearing in the bottom, and I have one of those tiny little bearings right here. I'm going to have to bring that a lot closer to the camera. Here we go. So it's a self-aligning ball bearing. It means this bit can twist around. See how that twists? So I did come up with this shorter part. Let's see, it's a lot shorter than that one. And we did try the wheel on this shorter part, and unfortunately it didn't work. There was something going wrong with the bearing. I think we were overloading it. Those small bearings have a very low thrust capability, and I think it just stuck. Okay, so how did I come up with the idea? Well, this is what I was thinking of to begin with. Some kind of a 3D printed part, because I sure couldn't make that out of a piece of wood, which would have been my normal method of making things, if I can. And I found out that our local library can actually do that. Here's a good view of a self-aligning ball bearing. The one I picked was this 8mm one. Probably should have picked a 10mm. This is the original sketch I had. But how do you get from a little sketch all the way to a 3D printed part? And the answer is, and it has to be dimensionally accurate too, so that it fits pilots and bearings. I downloaded a free CAD program called FreeCAD. Because I've been a CAD jockey for about 30 years, when I used to work at an engineering company, I was able to fumble my way through it, convert these into real-life parts, and print them. Here's an example of FreeCAD. So I went from that sketch into something like this. You can see you can put dimensions on it, so you can control where the elements are, and then you can make a solid model that looks a lot like this. So this is all free to download over the internet. And this guy here Mango Jelly Solutions, that's a YouTube page. He can help you get started on it. It is a big learning curve, but this is where you start. You start with a body. There's the body part, you make a sketch out of it, you convert it into one of these, and then you have to make these little pads separately and union them in, which I found a little difficult to use because it wasn't the way I was used to doing things. Learning curve for me. But I got there. In FreeCAD, once you have the part you want, there's an export file, and it ends with an extension called .3mf, which is kind of like a manufacturing file, if you want to think of it that way. 3D maybe? That's the extension. And on Windows, there's this Microsoft 3D Builder, which I think is a default program that they load on. And if you click on it, you can actually view it. And it rotates and everything. So you can check that, yes, you're doing the right thing before you go on to the printer software. Printer software is its own software. Whatever printer you're going to try and print to, you need to use their software to do it. So our local library has one of these Ultimakers, and it has a Bambu Lab machine. This has its own software. This has its own software. This one's called Cura, and this one's Bambu Lab software. Got that all up here, you can see that. This one has two nozzles. It doesn't like to print things with an overhang more than 45 degrees. So you have to think about that while you're designing something. Otherwise you've got to put supports in it, and supports can be tricky. So for that red part, it created this tree which went into support that bearing stop at the very bottom of here. So this is the support, and I have to cut that out and smooth off the bottom edge as best as I can. But it's an interesting tree it makes. I've got another example right here. When I started making some parts in green, you can see all these tree structures. It's quite bizarre, and this was supporting another surface. I believe it was off of this part. So it was supporting the surface up there. So it makes it very complicated, and you have to think about this while you're designing the part. Okay, so this is going to be a 10-second video, and it's taken from the Bambu Lab machine. It has a camera inside that records all the steps. It actually records in real time. It also does a compressed file. So this one's going to be like 10 seconds long, and you can watch the part being printed. So as soon as I hit go, it'll run. And there it is, getting printed up. This is the part it was making in that video. I'm just zooming in on this one particular image from the movie, and you can see the trees being built for a low-level support right along here. And those little support trees are this piece right here. And it's so that it can support this inner edge. So here's a summary of the parts. I ended up on the green part here. I had to put tape on it, and it wasn't because the part was inaccurately made, it's because when I looked up the wheel diameter for the hub on the inside, it said 70.3. It isn't. It's like 70.6 or something. So I put a few layers of tape on so that it would be a tight fit in that hub. Because accuracy is important when you're doing a vertical wheel balance. You do not want to place a runout in there, because something like 3 thou runout can cause a 1/4 ounce off in your weight calculation when you're going to balance it. Little prompt for me on the bottom of the video, it says show how it all goes together. So here's a sleeve. That little sleeve goes into that bearing, and this bearing will go into this part. And these have loosened up a bit. They weren't tight before. This pilot goes into the wheel, and then this part goes on, and there's another bearing, goes in, another sleeve, And then I have a piece of threaded rod. Notice this is adjustable. Yeah, this is so you can clamp the wheel, which gets sandwiched between here. So once that wheel is sandwiched, this is all nice and tight, but it can rotate. Okay, so here are drawings I made from the FreeCAD model. This is the short stand, and it's got the bearing at the top there. This is the green parts I just held up. This is how they fit together, and this is my simulation of the wheel. So I have to measure the wheel. That's when I found out they weren't telling me the truth online about that bore size right there. When it makes parts, it doesn't make them solid. It puts this honeycomb in there, so they're fairly light. That's why all these parts together, even at 5 cents a gram, only cost like 20 bucks. It's really quite cheap to make once you can get it done. Getting these drawings out of FreeCAD, yeah, a little tricky, but it does work eventually. Did show some video of these. This is the wheel with the red shorter balancer. This is the one with the vertical wheel. It's got it supported on sawhorses. This is the threaded rod. Has all those green parts holding the wheel together. I've got wing nuts on there, so I can quickly spin it down. My little prompt here says show 2 videos. I think I'm supposed to show this one and that one. Okay, so this is the red part. See, I'm lifting the tire and it doesn't roll back. It just stays in that position. I push it down, it stays there. So obviously this is not working. I don't know the exact reason why, but I had another method, so I went on and used that one. So here's the hub. There I am spinning it just a little bit. So I've still got the old weights on. This is actually the wheel as it came straight off the car. I haven't done it. This is not the new tire, it's the old tire. I'm just using this to test to see if this is going to work. You can see the heavy spot is dropping to the bottom. So that's how you do a static balance on a wheel in a vertical. You get to the heavy spot and you know that the weight you need to add is going to be directly opposite on the top to balance the tire out. Okay, so I just have a few notes here about how I was doing the balance. Once you find the heavy spot, you mark, here's the orange arrow, there's a little piece of tape here that's sort of tan colored, it's just masking tape that I put on where the heavy spot was. And you line up the yellow dot on the tire, if it has one, to the heavy spot. This is going to minimize the number of weights you put on. But everybody says, oh, you have to do it at the valve. Well, it's not really that visible, but the valve is right here. Oh, is the heavy spot there? No, it isn't. And it rarely is, especially when you have alloy wheels. If you have a steel wheel, it could be. Alloy wheels, no. There's the tip of the valve right here. And that's where the heavy spot was, with all the weights removed, new tires gone on, and that's where we put the yellow dot. So as it works so well, I've got 2 other cars in the family we want to look at. There's a CX-5 and a CX-50. This is the original design I had, and I need to change it. So here's the wheel hub for a CX-50. So I'll put it in, and you can see I'm changing it. Got bearings over here, using the same parts as before, but then I'm going to change it. This is the design I came up with, the initial design for the CX-50 wheel. Got this long pilot running through. When I went to make a print file of this, it had to create a huge tree structure out here for this big flat surface. And it was like 3.5 hours of printing time on the 3D printer. I kind of changed the design a bit. Took that pilot off and made it a separate part, so I now have a sleeve that joins these 2 parts together to support the wheel. There's the wheel pilot itself, and I have to measure that to get the actual wheel pilot. And on this design, I'm going to the inside of the bearings instead of the outside, and I'm making some V-blocks to support this. And yes, I'm going to have another piece out here because I've got to be able to reach inside the tire to be able to support that on my sawhorses. But this should be a lower friction because there's no thrust load going through these bearings other than through the base just to hold it all together, but nothing in the balls to hold it, so it should rotate a lot freer. So I just want to finish. This is the bare hub. Look, there's the valve right there. Where's it going? It's not going to the bottom, is it? Just want to finish with this. I have more concepts coming for the CX50 balancing, but this is how we find out stuff. Heavy spot right there. And I hope it all works. If you're going to try this stuff, yeah, it may be a long learning curve, but it's worth it. It is worth it because you're learning, and that's always worth it. Vertical balancing, using sawhorses, worth it.